Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review. Hope you all had a good weekend. We're back with another one, like I say, and I don't even know why I'm putting that there or that there. I'm just organising my table. But we're off to the States with this beer review via Trembling Madness. And the one we are looking at is a new brewery to me. This come in at £5.85 instead of £6.85, 15% off it. And it's from Threes Brewing. And this is a can of their All or Nothing, and it's a West Coast IPA, and it's in an American pint can, which is 473ml, and this is coming in at 6.8% ABV. It does tell you a bit about it. I have gone online just to check the price. There's Mosaic, Simcoe, Centennial. There's about 4 or 5 different hops in this. I can't remember any of the notes that it was saying, if I'm totally honest. But yeah, quite cool artwork there. I think I did say on my unboxing video that it was about £8, something like that. Clearly I was way out. But yeah, it was £5.85 and should have been £6.85, so say 15% off it. That's what it tells me anyway. I didn't work it out. So, out of Massachusetts, in a place called Framingham. Framingham? Yeah, Framingham. No, Framingham, I think, or Massachusetts. Look, there we go. Middlesex County, apparently. Let's get it cracked open and see what we get. I've not had a West Coast for a long, long time, so hopefully it's going to be decent. It's going in my White Hag glass, which I like to use for my IPAs. Nice and chilled. Let's get her open, see what we get. It's a little bit lively, but it has been tossed around. But hopefully it'll be all right. Yeah, and straight away I'm looking at the colour of that. That's screaming West Coast for me. Subtle haze. Amber grapefruity in colour, if you want to call it that. It's got a sort of, for me, it's got that oily resinous look about it, which that's my take on it, on how I look at it. But yeah, I mean, it's got that oily resinous look about it, like a West Coast. Slightly hazy, like I say. I'm sure there's carbonation going up, but I'm not seeing much with it being hazy. And we've got about a finger of white on top. So, what did it say? It said, white grape or something. No, white gummy bears, white grape, dank fruit, tropical, and I think maybe a bit of pine or something it was saying on it, but I can't remember exactly. Anyway, All or Nothing, Threes Brewing out of Massachusetts. Let's dive in, have a sniffers. Oh yeah, it's got that real orange citrus, marmalade-y even. A resinous note. It smells a little bit sort of old school, really. Yeah, it's got that oily sort of resinous note, but I'm not going to say I'm really getting a pine note in there on the aroma. Anyway, let's stop talking. Big citrus. Let's go with that. Cheers. Okay. Was I expecting more? Probably was. Nothing particularly wrong with it, but I was expecting to take a little bit different, really. I know it says on the can, this is our take on this beer, but was expecting a little bit different. We'll come to all that, as I always say. Let's go in again. Body, mediocre. Not thin, not watery, or certainly not wishy-washy, but feels a little bit light, but then you don't expect anything massively heavy with the West Coast. But I feel this is just lacking a little bit. Quite busy in the mouth. I wouldn't say it's particularly rough, but at the same time, it's not particularly smooth either. There's a lot of carbonation there. Not necessarily ruining the beer, but you do feel it. And it feels maybe a little bit overcarbonated. Drink's all right. Mouthfeel's not terrible. Hasn't got that softness that you get with some beers for me. Let's go in, give you some tastes. Oily, resinous. Very much got a big malty backbone to this. And with that orange citrus, it feels very sort of almost like UK traditional West Coast IPA. Dank, musty, very drying. I mean, white gummy bears, I wouldn't know. I don't eat white gummy bears. White grapes, I'm not sure I'm really picking that up in it. There is a bit of pine in there, I suppose, on the taste. Yeah, there is that pine in there. I mean, as they say, it's their take on a West Coast. But I still expected it to be quite full-on, typical American West Coast. It's got... It's feels very much like a UK sort of West Coast. Oh, pardon me. Carbonation is definitely there. That took me by surprise. A little bit underwhelming. Nothing particularly wrong with it, but I wouldn't say it's the sort of West Coast that really hits the note for me. Yeah, you could say tropical note in the background. I think it's very much sort of, for me, orange citrus. There's not that, there's maybe a tickle of grapefruit in the background, but it's not that full-on sort of grapefruit sort of thing. That's what I like. I like the big piney resinous and the big sort of grapefruit note in a West Coast, personally, for my taste buds. I mean, yes, it does the style justice, but in a different way. And as they say, this is their take on a West Coast. But for me, it feels too much like a UK sort of West Coast IPA that you get from a traditional brewery, which are the sort of ones that don't sort of hit for me. So I think this is going to be down to what you like in your own personal taste. A decent beer, is it worth? See, this is where I'd say, granted, it's been imported, and yeah, I got it a quid cheaper, but I'm not sure it's worth that £5.85 personally. 6.8%. You know, it's a stronger number. I wouldn't say it hits you with any overpowering sort of alcohol sort of taste or any sort of burn or anything. So it hits the note there, hits a note there. I'd like to see maybe a smoother beer, maybe a slightly heavier beer if you're going to be picky. And certainly on the taste notes of things, for my personal taste, I'd like to see a little bit more full-on West Coast, American West Coast, rather than it feeling a little bit UK West Coast. But again, that's down to my personal taste. Is it a bad beer? It's by no means an awful beer, but I certainly couldn't justify, I mean, I think £5.85 for my sort of thing now, I'd be thinking, well, hang on, I could probably get something similar, maybe not that ABV, for a bit less at home. And definitely cheaper than £6.85 that it should have been. But it's a nice enough beer, but without really sort of wowing you. I've had some good beers from America. They do some great beers. And 101 people will like this. to just me disliking it. There'll be hundreds that like it, and maybe more people that really like it more than I do. Definitely repeats on you, but yeah, I was hoping for big full-on West Coast banging USA kind of thing, but feel like I've been given a UK sort of West Coast. So apologies for all the wind in this video. All full of shit and wind, I suppose. Threes Brewing, all or nothing West Coast IPA. Feels more like a UK West Coast rather than a US one, but nice enough, but a little bit underwhelming. So if you see it, I mean, I'd certainly say try it, because everyone's tastes are different. If you like the US ones, you still might like this sort of West Coast. If you like the UK ones, I definitely think you'll like this one. I think this resonates more along them lines. If you've had the beer before, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment. Thank you all for watching. 11 minutes in. That's it. I'll see you on another one. Cheers.